Welcome to the online training for MarketQuest. MarketQuest can be accessed via the NRT gateway. When you log into the gateway, you will see a MarketQuest icon. Click the icon to load MarketQuest. If you have access to more than one MLS, a list of MLSs will appear on the screen and you need to select the MLS you'd like to run reports for. If you only have access to one MLS, the MLS will load automatically. When you first go into MarketQuest, you will be placed on the filter page. The filter page is where you will make your selections for how you want to run your report. You can run reports for market share, market trends, a market action report, and an HTML version of the market action report. There is also a button to clear the filter, which resets it to the defaults. The first filter option is property type. You can select any combination of property types by checking or unchecking the option boxes. By default, single family, townhome, and condo are selected. The next filter is the REO property filter. You can filter for just REO properties, non-REO properties, or all. Then there's a price range filter if you want to filter by sold price range. You can enter in a minimum and maximum value. Keep in mind that the values are in thousands. The next filter is date range. Some of the reports only need an ending date range, others need a from and to date range or a start and an end date range. The first example we'll do is a market share report, and for that we need a start and an end date. You can manually type in a start or an end date and be sure to put in the year as a 4-digit number, or you can use the calendar control to select a date. And finally, over to the far right, there's a drop down to automatically fill in month to date, year to date, or last 12 months. So if I wanted to run a report for the full year 2016, I'm going to put in January 1st, 2016, and I'm going to go through 12/31/2016. For market share reports, you can group the results by broker or by office. By default, it's set to broker. You also have an option to use the standard company logo or the previews logo. Finally, you'll need to select an area type. You can choose county, city, zip code, MLS area, school district, or subdivision. When you select one of the area types here, the pick list for the available areas will appear down below. So since I've selected city, you'll see all the cities are listed below. If I wanted to run a market share report for Longboat Key, I'm going to highlight Longboat Key, use the arrow, and move it from the source box to the selected box. I could select multiple areas if I'd like, but for this example, I'm just going to use one area. To run a market share report, all I need to do is click the market share button in the lower left-hand corner. You can see this created a market share report and brought in the top brokers in the market. There's the graph at the top and the data table down below. Our NRT company will be highlighted in blue, a darker shade of blue. You can see the other options at the top are to run the report based on list side, buy side, or total, and then you can choose units or volume. You can also show the results as a percent by clicking on the checkbox. So now instead of seeing the values down below, you see the market share numbers. You'll notice that the filters are also listed on the screen here that you selected. You can export the report to a PDF. You can return to the filter page and do another search. Or you can change any of the options at the top to change what is being graphed on the report. The data table down below shows the top competitors with their list side, buy side, and total units and volume and the associated market share. I'm going to click Return to Search, and that brings me back to the filter page. Another thing to keep in mind when you're running market share reports is that our Coldwell Banker company will oftentimes not show up in Another thing to keep in mind when you're running market share reports is that our Coldwell Banker Company could be higher up in terms of the market share versus our competitors. Another thing to keep in mind when you're running market share reports is that you might have to try a few combinations. Another thing to keep in mind when you're running market share reports is that you might have to try out a few combinations to get where our Coldwell Banker Company is in the best market share position. So for example, maybe Coldwell Banker is number 2 when you run a market share report based off of list side units. But maybe in terms of total volume, we're number 1 in the market. Or maybe if you were to put a price range of $500,000 plus or $1 million plus because we're better in the higher end, we would show up as number 1 in the market or higher up on the market share report. So you might try a few combinations before you go ahead and create a PDF. That way you find the one that shows our company in the best light. Also, another thing to keep in mind when you're running market share reports is that the property type filters up at the top are tied into the area selections down below here. So for example, if I wanted to just run a report for condos and then I wanted to pick an area type of subdivision, you'll see now my subdivision list down below here is now filtered for just the subdivisions that are related to condo property types. And so this list will be smaller than if I were to have selected single family and townhome as well. Also, if the MLS provides a building name for the condo, that building name will appear in this list instead of the subdivision name. The next report we're going to review is the Market Trends report. Now, a Market Trends report only needs an ending date. And so if I wanted to run a Market Trends report through the end of 2016, all I need to do is put 12/31/2016 in the to date field here, pick an area. I'm going to go ahead and pick a city. And the city I'm going to pick is Sarasota. And then I'm going to go ahead and click Market Trends. When I run a Market Trends report, by default it gives me, you can see the last 12 months. Up at the top I have 2 different drop downs. I can put any 2 different items on the report. So for example, if I wanted to see the sold average price mapped against, let's say, days on market, I could pick those 2 items and you can see the graph and the report down below will show those 2 items. There's an option to show a trend line if you wanted to add a trend line to the report, so it sort of shows directionally where the market's headed. I can uncheck the trend line and then check the box at the top that says Show All Data Series. And so now, instead of just seeing the 2 items that I've selected in the graph in the data series, I get all the various data metrics for the market in the data table at the bottom. You can see you have sold average price, days on market, the sold median price, the list median price, the list average price, new listings taken for the month, active inventory at the end of the month, sold listings, all the properties that expired, canceled, or came off the market, the number of accepted offers, also known as the pended properties, a couple of ratios, accepted offers to new listing, accepted offers to inventory, month supply of inventory, price per square feet, sale price to list price ratio, and then some 3-month rolling averages of a few of those numbers. Now you can see this just showed the last 12 months. If I click Return to Search, and then instead of just showing the last 12 months here on the date range row, I can run a 25-week report. You see it says Market Trends Only. So if I select that and rerun my Market Trends, I'm now going to see 25 periods. So it's a much longer period in terms of market share. Another option is to run the Market Trends report using a period versus period variance. If I select that on the filter page and rerun my market trends report, you'll see not only do I have the graph, but down below I have this data table that shows how the items that I've selected here, in this case sold average price and days on market, how they've changed and how they compare during the different periods. So down below, not only do I have the month-by-month numbers, I have February 2015, 2016, and 2017 compared here, as well as the average, the min and the max and the average, and how 17 compares to 16 and how 17 compares to 15. Keep in mind, whenever you're running these market trends reports, it's always very helpful to make sure that you pick only a fully completed month. So in this case, you see the date was 2/3/2017 because today's date is February 4th. So it's better for me to put in a fully completed month like January 31st or December 31st when I run this report, so that way I don't get just a partial month in my data. The next report we're going to take a look at is the market action report. Again, the market action report only needs an ending date, so I'm going to run it through the last fully completed month. I'm going to go ahead and run this just for year-end 2016. So I'm going to put in 12/31/2016. The area type, I'm going to pick the city of Sarasota. And now I'm going to click the Market Action button down at the bottom. This will build a market action report. This report will pull your agent profile information, your photo, and any name and contact information, and automatically place it on this report. You can see that this report is quite extensive. It has 2 different pages to it. So let's just go through it real quickly. The first part of the report is a market profile and trends overview that shows a whole bunch of key stats and where they are for the current month, how they compare to last month, the average of the last 3 months, the prior year's month, so the same month in the prior year, and then how it compares to last year as a total. And then you have year-to-date numbers and how they compare to the prior year-to-date and the prior year as a total. Below that, you can see that there are various sections on the market action report. The first one talks about property sales. The system will automatically write this verbiage, so it looks like this was custom written. So you can see it says December to property sales were 117, down 18.2% from 143 in December of 2015, and equal to the 117 sales last month. December 2016 sales were at their lowest level compared to December 2015 and 2014. December year-to-date sales of 1641 are running 7.8% behind last year's year-to-date sales of 1780. So you can see it looks like someone personally wrote these descriptions for these various graph sections, but this was all generated automatically from the data. So you can see you have the property sales over the last 36 months, and the current month, in this case it was December, plus the previous December and the December before that are highlighted in a different shade of blue. You also see that there's a red trend line here that's a 3-month rolling average that helps to smooth out the line and show a more smooth trend. So there's a section for property sales, for both median and average sales price, for inventory and month supply of inventory. There's a section for market timing, which is the average days on market. There's a section for selling price per square foot, selling price versus the list price, and then there's a section for inventory, new listings, and sales. The other options on the market action report is that you can change the header to be white. On some printers, the dark blue and the light blue don't stand out enough, and the white header makes it a little clearer, so you have that option. You have the option to hide the price per square foot areas on the report. Some MLSs around the country don't track square feet in terms of houses, and so price per square foot oftentimes is not really a good indicator of the market. So if you want to hide that, you can. If you want to include an extra page that is just one big blown up graph of the inventory, new listings, and sales, then go ahead and create this checkbox, and that'll make it a 3-page report. There's also a button to include the data table in the printout. If this is included, that adds another page to the report, and that's just a data table with the raw data that sources all of the graphs on this report. There's an option here to show these values in the market profile and trends overview as actual percents, or by default you can see they're just set as arrows to give direction as to whether things are going up, down, or pretty much flat. If for any reason you need to modify the header with your custom information, you can click the Modify Header button, and that'll bring up a form where you can change your agent information. And again, you can export this report to a PDF and save it, or you can click Return to Search, and that will take you back to the filter page. And finally, the last report in MarketQuest is the HTML version of the Market Action Report. It's almost identical to the Market Action Report, but instead of creating a PDF, it creates a full HTML email that it sends to you that you can then forward on to any of your clients. So again, I have Sarasota picked as the city. I'm going to go ahead and click the button, HTML Market Action Report. And you'll see it generates a report very similar to the report we were just looking at. The options here are similar to the Market Action Report, where I can change from arrows to values. I have different parts of the report that I can hide or show. I can customize the report header. So if I hit Customize Report, you'll see not only can I change any of my agent information, but I also have this quick note. It's like a personalized note. Maybe I could say something about interest rates or about what's going on in just a sentence or two about this market that I know from my personal experience as an agent. And so I can save that, and then when I save that, you can see that this quick note here will be filled in with the text that you entered. So when you're done entering in your quick note text and making sure that all the customizations on the report are the way you'd like it, you click Email the Report, and it'll email this report to you. So when you go into your inbox, you'll see that you have received an email that's an HTML version with all the pictures and everything of that Market Action Report. And so I just went ahead and click Forward, and so now I can forward this to any of my clients via my email system, and they will receive, instead of a attached PDF, they'll receive this full HTML version of the Market Action Report. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click Return to Search. That brings me back to the filter page. So this concludes the WebEx training for MarketQuest. If you have any questions or need further help on the MarketQuest system, open up a ticket with the NRT Help Desk and someone will get with you to be able to help you with any issues that you may have. Thanks for your time.